Welcome to my expat stories. This one's about trust, about respect, about going to Colombia for all the right reasons and still getting burned. No bar girls, no scams you'd see coming. Just a man who wanted to learn salsa, met the right teacher, trusted the wrong family. Ben, 29, construction worker from Birmingham, Alabama. Went to Cali in 2023 because it's the salsa capital of the world. Not for women, not for parties, for the culture. He found a teacher named Ricardo from Tulua, spent a week learning, building a friendship. Ricardo introduced him to his sister Isabella. Everyone called her Miss Issy. She was the best dancer Ben had ever seen. One night at a club, she offered him a drink between dances. He took it. Why wouldn't he? She was Ricardo's sister. $12,800 later, Ben woke up in an empty lot, wondering what the hell happened. Turns out Miss Icy wasn't Ricardo's sister, and that drink wasn't just a drink. Here's Ben. I've been working construction in Birmingham since I was 19. Started right out of high school. No college. Just picked up a hammer and learned on the job. Framing houses mostly. Residential. Some commercial work when the contracts came through. Good money. Consistent. By 29, I was making $28 an hour. Had my own truck. Owned a small house in Forestdale. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Paid cash. No mortgage. But after 10 years of the same job sites and the same crew and the same Friday nights at the same bar watching Alabama football, I was going stir crazy. My buddy Travis had quit his HVAC job the year before and backpacked through Peru for 3 months. Came back different. Calmer. Said travel changes your perspective. Makes you realise how small your world is. I figured I'd give it a shot. I had $18,000 saved up. No wife. No kids. No reason to stay put. I didn't want to do the typical backpacker thing. Hostels full of 21-year-olds getting drunk and taking Instagram photos. I wanted to actually learn something. Do something I couldn't do in Birmingham. I've always loved music. My mum used to play old records in the kitchen when I was growing up. Motown, Aretha Franklin, James Brown. Anything with rhythm. She'd dance while she cooked. Tried to get me to dance with her, but I was too embarrassed as a kid. Always said I'd learn someday when I was older. I started researching places to learn to dance. Cali, Colombia kept coming up. The salsa capital of the world. Not the resort salsa you see on cruises. The real thing. The kind that's been passed down for generations in the barrios and the community centres. People who live and breathe it. That's what I wanted. So I booked a ticket for early March 2023. 3 weeks. Long enough to actually learn something. I rented a small apartment in San Antonio through Airbnb. 1-bedroom place. Basic but clean. The owner was a middle-aged Colombian woman who spoke decent English. She picked me up from the airport. Told me San Antonio was a good neighbourhood. Safe. Close to the centre but residential. She said if I needed anything to call her. Gave me her number. Seemed genuinely nice. I spent my first day just walking around. Getting my bearings. San Antonio had this old colonial vibe. Colourful buildings. Narrow streets. Little cafes. Parks with old men playing chess. It felt relaxed. Not touristy. I liked it. That evening I searched Facebook for salsa teachers. Found a group for students and teachers in Cali. Started scrolling through posts. That's when I found Ricardo. His post said he taught traditional Cali-style salsa. No fancy choreography. Just the fundamentals. The real street style. He'd been teaching for 12 years. His profile said he was from Tulua, a smaller town about an hour north in Valle del Cauca. He'd moved to Cali to teach full-time. Rates were 150,000 pesos per 2-hour session, about $35. Way cheaper than anything back home. I sent him a message. He responded. Within an hour. Said he had availability starting the next day. We set up lessons for 6 days straight, Monday through Saturday. 2 hours each afternoon starting at 4 p.m. First lesson was at his studio. Small place in a neighbourhood called Alameda, south of the centre. Working class area. The studio was on the second floor of a concrete building. One big room with mirrors on one wall. Wooden floor. A sound system in the corner. That's it. No reception desk, no fancy equipment. Just a space to dance. Ricardo was waiting when I showed up. Maybe 35 years old. Lean build. Moved like an athlete. Quick smile. He shook my hand. Said welcome. Asked if I'd ever danced before. I said no, sir. Not really. He laughed. Said most people who say that end up being naturals. The ones who think they can already dance are the hard ones to teach. We started with basics, timing, counting, how to feel the rhythm instead of just hearing it. He put on a song, slow salsa, simple beat. Had me clap on, the 1 and the 5. Said everything in salsa comes from those 2 beats. Once you feel them, the rest follows. We did that for 30 minutes, just clapping and counting. My hands were sore. He said good, that means you're doing it right. Then we moved to footwork. Forward, back, side, weight transfer. He said dancing's just controlled falling. You're always off balance. That's what makes it work. We practiced for another hour. By the end I was drenched in sweat, but I'd made it through a whole song without stepping on his feet. He said that was progress. Most people take 3 sessions to get that far. We talked after. He asked why I'd come all the way to Cali just to learn salsa. I told him the truth, that I'd been working the same job for 10 years and needed to do something different, something that scared me a little, something I couldn't just phone in. He nodded. Said he understood that. Said most of his students were locals, but the ones who came from other countries always had the best reasons. They weren't trying to impress anyone. They just wanted to learn. He asked about Birmingham, what it was like. I told him hot in summer, dead in winter. College football is basically a religion. He laughed. Asked if I liked it there. I said it's home, but home can feel small sometimes. He said he felt the same about Tulua. That's why he'd moved to Cali. Needed more space to grow, more opportunities. We talked for maybe 20 minutes about work, about family, about what it's like to leave the place you grew up. By the time I left, I felt like I'd made a friend. Second lesson was Tuesday. He picked up where we'd left off. Added turns, spins, how to lead without forcing your partner, how to make it feel smooth instead of mechanical. He said the best leaders make their partners feel like they're floating, like the movement is their idea. That takes trust. I said, trust in what? He said, trust in yourself, trust in your partner, trust in the music. If you're thinking too much, you're not dancing. We practiced for 2 hours. My legs were burning, my feet hurt, but I was getting it, starting to feel the rhythm in my body instead of my head, starting to anticipate the changes in the music. He said I was doing well, better than most beginners. I said I had a good teacher. He laughed, said teaching is easy when the student actually wants to learn. Wednesday, he introduced partner work, used himself as the partner since it was just us, showed me how to hold someone, where to put my hands, how to create connection through pressure and release, how to communicate without talking. He said salsa is a conversation. The leader asks a question with his body. The follower answers, back and forth. If both people are listening, it becomes something beautiful. We ran through the same sequence maybe 50 times. Forward, back, turn, spin, return. Over and over until it felt natural. Until I wasn't thinking about the steps anymore. Just moving, he said. That's when you know you're really dancing. When you stop counting and start feeling. Thursday and Friday were more of the same. Building on what I'd learned. Adding complexity. Different rhythms, faster songs. By Friday afternoon I wasn't great, but I was competent. I could hold a basic rhythm. Follow a song. Not embarrass myself. Ricardo said I was ready to try it in a real setting. Not a lesson. A club where people actually dance for fun. He said he'd take me out Saturday night, show me a spot that wasn't full of tourists. A place where locals went. Real Cali salsa. Not performances, not shows. Just people dancing because that's what they do on Saturday nights. I said I'd be there. He said good. And he'd bring his sister. She was one of the best dancers he knew. If I could keep up with her, I could keep up with anyone. I asked about her. He said her name was Isabella, but everyone called her Miss Issy. Grew up with him in Tulua. Moved to Cali a few years back. Worked at a salon during the day. Danced at night. She'd been dancing since she was 5 years old. Learned from their mum who'd learned from her mum. It was in their blood. He said she was tough. Didn't go easy on beginners. But if she said I was good, it meant something. Saturday came. I was nervous. Spent the afternoon walking around San Antonio trying to calm down. This was why I'd come to Cali. To actually do it. Not just learn in a studio, but dance in a real club with real people. At 9 p.m, Ricardo picked me up outside my apartment in a taxi. We headed south. Way south. Past the nice neighbourhoods I'd been exploring. Past the shopping areas. We ended up in a part of the city that felt grittier. Louder. more alive. The club was called Zaporoko, tucked into a side street. No big sign. Just a door painted blue and a guy sitting on a plastic stool outside. Ricardo said something to him in Spanish. The guy nodded and waved us in. No cover charge, no ID check, just walk straight in. Inside it was packed. Wall-to-wall people. The music hit me like a physical thing. Live band on a tiny stage at the far end. 3-piece. Congas, timbales, piano. The sound was huge, way louder than anything in the studio. The room was hot. Bodies everywhere. People dancing in spaces that didn't look big enough for one person, let alone two. Nobody was watching. Nobody was performing. Just moving. Connected. In sync with something bigger than themselves. Ricardo grabbed my arm and pulled me toward the bar. Ordered 2 beers. Handed me one. Said just watch for a bit. Feel the room. Don't try to dance yet. Just absorb it. I stood there sipping my beer and watching. The way people moved. The way they connected. It wasn't about steps or technique. It was about the energy, the give and take, the conversation Ricardo had talked about. I started to feel it in my chest. That rhythm. That pull. After maybe 20 minutes, Ricardo tapped my shoulder and pointed toward the entrance. "She's here," he said. Miss Issy walked in, and I swear the room noticed. Not in an obvious way, but people glanced, nodded, smiled. She was maybe 5'4", curvy, long dark hair down to her waist, wearing a red dress that fit like it was painted on. But it wasn't just how she looked. It was the way she moved, confident, easy, like she belonged there more than the walls did. She spotted Ricardo and her face lit up, walked over. They hugged. He said something in Spanish. She laughed and looked at me. "You must be Ben," she said in English. Her accent was thick, but her English was clear. "My brother says you're learning." I said, "Yes, ma'am. I'm trying." She smiled. "No ma'am here, just Issy. Or Miss Issy if you want to be all southern about it." Ricardo laughed. Told her in Spanish that I was polite. She said in English that polite was good. Rare in men. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just smiled. She ordered a drink. Some kind of cocktail. We stood there talking. She asked what I did. Back home, I told her construction. She said that made sense. Said I had strong hands. Good for leading. Asked if I was married. I said no. She said good. Married men dance like they're afraid of getting caught. Single men dance like they've got nothing to lose. Ricardo laughed. Said his sister always had opinions. She smacked his arm playfully. That sibling energy, the kind you can't fake. It made me trust her completely. After another beer, Miss Issy said, "Let's see what you got." She grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the dance floor. Found a spot near the edge. Not in the middle where everyone could see. Just enough space to move. The band started a new song. Mid-tempo. Manageable. She put my hand on her waist, took my other hand, looked me in the eyes, said, "Follow the music." Not me. The music. We started dancing. She led at first, even though I was supposed to lead, guiding me through the rhythm, correcting me with pressure on my hand, a shift in her weight. After the first verse, I started to get it, started to feel the connection. She was incredible, made me look better than I was, made it feel effortless. We danced through the whole song. By the end, I was sweating and grinning like an idiot. She said not bad for a gringo. I said not bad for a girl from Tulua. She laughed, said her brother had told her I was respectful. That was rare. Most foreign men who came to Cali treated Colombian women like they were part of the tourist package. I said I wasn't like that. She said, "I know. I can tell." We danced 2 more songs. Each one felt better than the last. I was keeping up, staying in rhythm. She started adding spins and turns and I followed. Not perfectly, but well enough. She said I was a fast learner. I said I had good teachers. She said plural. I said you and Ricardo. She smiled. Said her brother was good at the basics, but she was better at making it fun. We took a break, sat at a table with Ricardo. He bought a round of drinks, rum and coke. We talked. She asked what I thought of Cali. I said it was incredible. Different than I expected. She asked what I expected. I said honestly I didn't know. Just heard it was dangerous, she laughed. Said everywhere is dangerous if you're stupid. But if you're respectful and aware, Cali is one of the best cities in the world. I said I believed her. Ricardo and Miss Issy talked in Spanish for a bit. Fast, I couldn't follow. But they kept smiling and glancing at me, so I figured it wasn't bad. At one point she said something and he shook his head. She insisted. He shrugged. She turned to me and said in English, "My brother thinks you're too nice." I said, "Is that a bad thing?" She said, "No. It's rare, that's all." Around midnight the band picked up the tempo. Faster songs. More aggressive rhythms. Miss Issy said, "Let's go." We went back to the dance floor. This time it was crowded, people bumping into each other. No space. But somehow we made it work. She was pulling me, spinning, leaning back. I was holding her, catching her, trying to keep up. It felt like flying, like nothing else existed except the music and the movement and her. Between songs she leaned close, said, "You're sweating." I said, "Yeah, I'm dying." She laughed, said, "Wait here," walked toward the bar. I stood there catching my breath. Ricardo was dancing with someone else, across the room. I watched. Everyone in that club could dance. Every single person. It was humbling and inspiring at the same time. Miss Issy came back with a plastic cup. Some kind of juice, looked fresh, pinkish. She handed it to me, said, "Drink this, you'll feel better." I asked what it was. She said, "Guava juice with a little lime, helps with the heat." I said, "Thanks." Took the cup, drank half of it in one go. It was sweet, cold, tasted incredible. I drank the rest. She smiled, said, "Ready for one more?" I said, "Yeah, let's do it." We got back on the floor. The band started up again. We danced. But halfway through the song, I started feeling off. Dizzy. Like the room was tilting. My legs felt heavy. Like I was moving through mud. I tried to keep dancing, but my feet weren't responding right. I stumbled. Miss Issy caught me. Said, "You okay?" I said, "I don't know. I feel weird." She said, "It's the heat. Come on, let's get you outside. Fresh air will help." She put her arm around my waist, led me through the crowd. People moved out of the way. I could barely walk. My vision was blurring. Everything looked like it was underwater. We got to the door. The guy on the stool looked at me, said something in Spanish. Miss Issy responded. He nodded. We stepped outside. The air hit my face, but it didn't help. My head was spinning. I tried to say something, but my mouth wouldn't form words. She said, "It's okay, I've got you. Just relax." Her voice was soft, calm, like she was talking to a child. I felt myself leaning on her, my legs giving out. The last thing I remember is her voice saying, "You're going to be fine." Then everything went black. I woke up in daylight, harsh sunlight. My head felt like someone had taken a sledgehammer to it. My mouth was so dry I could barely swallow. Tasted like chemicals, like I'd been licking batteries. I tried to sit up. Couldn't. My body wasn't working right. Took me a full minute to get my arms under me, pushed myself up. I was lying on dirt, hard-packed dirt. I opened my eyes fully, squinted against the sun. I was in an empty lot, trash everywhere, broken bottles, plastic bags, weeds growing through cracks in the concrete, graffiti on a half-collapsed wall to my left. I looked around. No one. Just me. No buildings nearby, just empty lots and a dirt road. I had no idea where I was. I checked my pockets. Nothing. My phone was gone, my wallet was gone. My watch my dad had given me for graduation was gone. I patted my chest. My chain. Gone. I looked down at my feet. My shoes were gone. They'd taken my damn shoes. I was sitting in an empty lot in Cali Colombia in broad daylight with no phone, no money, no shoes, and no idea how I'd gotten there. I stood up slow. My legs were shaking. Every muscle hurt. My head was pounding so hard, I thought I might pass out again. But I stayed up, started walking, barefoot. The ground was hot, burning. Pieces of broken glass everywhere. Every step hurt, but I kept going. Had to find someone. Had to get help. I walked for maybe 20 minutes, no idea which direction, just following the dirt road, hoping it led somewhere. Finally hit a paved street. Saw cars, saw people. Flagged down the first car that passed. An old Toyota. The driver was an older man, maybe 60. He took one look at me and pulled over. I must have looked like hell. No shoes, dirt all over me, stumbling. I tried to explain in broken Spanish. Necesito ayuda. He didn't understand. Just motioned for me to get in. Drove me to a pharmacy a few blocks away. Gave me water from a bottle he had in the car. Let me sit on the curb outside the pharmacy while I drank it. I asked in Spanish if I could use his phone. He handed it to me. I called the number for my apartment rental. The owner answered. I told her what happened. Tried to explain. She said stay there, she'd come get me. I waited maybe 40 minutes. The old man stayed with me the whole time, didn't ask questions, just sat there making sure I was okay. When the rental owner showed up, she thanked him. He waved and drove off. She drove me back to San Antonio. Didn't ask too many questions. Just said she was sorry. Said it happens sometimes in Cali, especially in the clubs. I said I thought I was with people I trusted. She said that's usually when it happens. When you trust. I went inside my apartment, sat on the couch, tried to piece it together. The drink, Miss Issy, Ricardo, the club, the week of lessons, all of it. I opened my laptop, logged into my bank account. My stomach dropped. 6 ATM withdrawals over the course of 5 hours, each one for 2 million pesos, the max withdrawal limit. Total, 12 million pesos, about $2,800. They'd gotten into my phone somehow. Transferred another 8 million pesos, about $1,900. Then my credit card, maxed out at $4,000. Cash advances, purchases I didn't recognize. Total damage, about $12,800. I sat there staring at the screen. They'd been thorough, professional, knew exactly how to drain every account I had. How long had I been out? The timestamps on the transactions went from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. 5 hours. 5 hours they had total access to everything I owned, and when they were done, they dumped me in an empty lot and walked away. I didn't try to call Ricardo. What was the point? His number was saved in my phone, which was gone. Even if I had it, what would I say? You drugged me. He'd deny it. Say I must have met someone else. Say Miss Issy left early. Say he didn't know what happened. There was no evidence, no proof. Just my word against his. I spent the next 2 days in my apartment. Barely ate, barely slept. Just sat there replaying the week in my head. Every conversation, every moment. Looking for signs I'd missed. There weren't any. Ricardo had been perfect. Patient. Friendly. Genuine. That's what made him good at this. He wasn't some sketchy guy hanging around tourist spots. He was a professional. A teacher. Someone you'd want to learn from. Someone you'd trust. And Miss Issy. The way she danced. The way she made me feel like I actually knew what I was doing. The way she smiled and called me respectful. And made me feel like I was different from other tourists. Was any of it real? Or was she just that good at playing a role? My parents wired me money on day 3. $2,000. Enough to survive and get home. I called my bank. Disputed the charges. They said they'd investigate, but it could take 60 days. Probably wouldn't recover anything. International fraud, hard to prove. I said fine, whatever. I just wanted to go home. I changed my flight. Left Cali 5 days early. Didn't see the rest of Colombia. Didn't care. Just wanted to be gone. Wanted to be back in Birmingham, where I knew the rules and people said what they meant. And trust actually meant something. The flight home felt like it took forever. I kept thinking about that. Instagram photo I'd found 2 days before I left. I'd been lying in bed scrolling on my laptop. Bored. Angry. Searching for anything that might give me answers. I searched for the club. SALSA Cali. Found their Instagram page. Started scrolling through tagged photos. That's when I saw them. Ricardo and Miss Issy. In a photo from 3 weeks before I'd even arrived in Cali. They weren't dancing. They were kissing. Standing outside the club. The same club. His arm around her waist. Her hand on his chest. The photo was posted by her account. Caption in Spanish. I ran it through Translate. My love and I at our favourite spot. Tagged Ricardo. Comments from friends. Heart emojis. Beautiful couple. You two are perfect together. I scrolled further. More photos, them at restaurants. Them at the beach. Them at someone's birthday party. Months of photos. A year of photos. They weren't siblings. They weren't even close. They were a couple. Partners. In business and in life. Whole sister story was a lie. A setup. Made me trust her completely. Made me think she was safe. Who drugs their teacher's sister? No one. That's the whole point. That's why it worked. I'm back in Birmingham now. Been back over a year. Working the same construction sites. Same crew, same routine. The $12,800 hurt. Took me 8 months to build my savings back up to where they were. I'm still about 5,000 short of what I had before. But I'll get there. Money comes back eventually. What doesn't come back is the trust. The belief that good intentions mean anything. That respect is a shield. That if you do things the right way, you'll be okay. I learned that's not true. Sometimes doing everything right still gets you dumped in an empty lot with no shoes. I haven't danced since. Not once. Can't even listen to salsa without feeling sick to my stomach. My mama asked me a few months after I got back why I stopped. I told her I just wasn't into it anymore. She looked at me like she knew I was lying but didn't push. I think she knows something happened in Colombia, something I'm not ready to talk about. Maybe I'll never be ready. My buddy Travis asked if I'm going to travel again. I said maybe, but I don't mean it. That trip broke something in me. Not my body, my ability to believe that strangers can be good, that friendship means something, that there are people in the world who aren't just looking for an angle. I still think about that night sometimes. The club, the music, the way Miss Issy moved, the way it felt before the drink, before everything went black, before I woke up in the dirt. For a few hours I'd felt alive in a way I'd never felt in Birmingham, like I was part of something bigger than myself, like I'd escaped the routine and found something real and meaningful. And then I woke up with no shoes and no money, and the taste of chemicals in my mouth. That's what trust gets you. That's what good intentions get you. An empty lot and a long walk home barefoot on broken glass. Ben went to Cali for the right reasons, wanted to learn, wanted to respect the culture. They used that against him, turned his respect into their payday. Sometimes the scam isn't in the bars or the clubs. It's in the people you trust to teach you. This is my expat stories. Back soon with another.